Man, it's always something in the transfer portal, right? Like the Ezra Christensen news last night. I'm looking, and I got my notifications on for Scotty and you guys, and I'm like, I see Scotty. He's like, oh, I'm like, what? I had no idea. So a really, really pleasant surprise for sure.
That's lit.
Totally, man. I want to ask you about a few things about this offseason, but I mean, let's start there. Obviously, Ezra Christensen, I mean, an older player, a guy who's been very productive. Just how big is this move for you for, the 2026 season, getting Ezra Christensen in the fold?
Man, definitely having somebody with the experience that he's had, someone who has the production that he's had. And I talked to a lot of coaches about having a guy in your room with a mustache, basically saying someone who's more mature, someone who can kind of steady the ship, can be a coach on the field, and someone who's done it. Exactly, right? So Ezra Christensen fits that mold. He's been a leader when you talk to guys who've played with him in the past, and you guys have interviewed some guys who played with him. They'll tell you, like, hey, look, he's a real guy. And he's a lot twitchier than I think people give him credit for. When you look at the build of the defensive linemen that have been that Colorado has gone after in the transfer portal and actually signed, you're kind of getting back to more of that quick twitch. Maybe not that big 6'6", 330-pound frame, but a guy 6'2", 6'3", 270, 280 pounds, somewhere in there, that is going to give a offensive guard that can't move his feet problems. And I think that's kind of where you saw the magic the year before when Colorado led the conference in sacks. When you have a guy like B.J. Green at 6'1", 275, who can or block bully, guys who may not have that, gargantuan size, but guys who have that athleticism that they give people fits. And and someone who wants to run gap scheme, a gap scheme running attack, they can just decimate it because of their athleticism. So I think a guy like this really fits that mold, and I think he's going to be a huge pickup.
Yes, sir. Ski Dukes, good to see you, my dog. Obviously, this
is always.
Yes, sir. This is obviously a massive offseason for this program, right? A lot of changes had to be made. Some personnel had to be moved around and inserted into the program or not. I guess kind of generally big picture, how do you just kind of feel about the progress that has been made, via the program, via some of the player movement, some of the coaching movement this offseason ahead of, another 2026 season?
I think more importantly, last year, it was more so of a what you got. Oh, I got this guy, the 6'4". I got this guy, he was a 5-star. This time, I think it's more of who you got. Oh, he was a captain previously. When you talk to people at that school, they say he was a first in, first out type of guy. I think there was a time in Atlanta where the Falcons wouldn't draft a certain type of player if they didn't have a certain type of resume, and they called it the Falcon filter. Because previously, you had the stuff with Mike Vick going on and all of this other stuff, right? Cool. Now, there's kind of like a buff filter right now. It's like, hey, look, how much do you love ball is the question. When they're calling and recruiting is, do you love ball? And I think now that's the worst thing that you can get put on your resume as a college football player. And I tell that to my mentees all the time. Dog, if you don't love ball and that gets out, sometimes that's worse than getting arrested. Like, you got to love ball. Swear. And I hate, I hate to make light of the legal system, but it's the truth. You really got to love ball, and sometimes people can make concessions for you if you do. And I think that's where Colorado really went this year, to find out, man, how many people would play football without NIL? And you heard Coach Prime say that on multiple shows. He said it with Uncle Chico on the Morning Run. Like, hey, would you play without the bag? Now, of course you got to have a bag, but I think finding guys who will actually say yes. There's some kids that's going to say, nah, I ain't playing without the bag. Nah. So, even finding people that are willing to say that, I think is a big difference. And when you talk to some of the G5 guys, they're coming in with a chip on their shoulder because they feel like these guys are spoiled. So I think this is a class that they really dove into who the person was and not what they were.
Dukes, I remember talking to you back during the Julian Lewis recruitment and just kind of your insight being down there in Georgia. And I just kind of wanted to see a little bit of what you thought of his performance at the end of the season and also what you expect from him this season with this new crop of receivers in this go-go offense.
I think with Ju, it was never the arm talent. I think it was more. I think Coach Prime was looking more so for someone that he could trust to lead the team. If the headset goes out, who's gonna slap a guard on the back of their helmet and say, "Hey, bro, like, don't miss another one." And I think that's what he was looking for more so than just the actual arm talent or the reads that he was making, because I don't think that was ever in question. When you look at his first start, I believe it was West Virginia on the road.
Yep.
Played admirably, actually played well in my opinion. Made some big time throws. So, and that was his first game on the road. There was no hand holding period, or we're just gonna put you in against this team. No, he had to go get it right then. And and it's also a tough situation that he was put in, where you probably go in. He probably signed. I'm pretty sure he signed the dotted line last year, thinking he was going to be the starter day one in Colorado. And then you get a guy who a 3,000 yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher that's like, oh snap, and he ends up winning the job. So that's a huge mental hurdle for a 17-year-old, right? Who should have been at the prom in most scenarios, but he was leading a college football team full of 22 and 23-year-olds. So I think now and taking over for Shedeur Sanders, who literally has, and Travis Hunter, he was basically the face of a program that just lost Shedeur and Travis Hunter. So I think that he handled that so well for being a 17-year-old when he got there. Now another year of maturity, not only mentally but physically, knowing that he has the inside track to be the guy at this point. It's like not even like he should be the guy. He would have to mess up to not be the guy at this point, right?
Yep. For sure.
So I think going in with that confidence, understanding the expectation, and it's like, imagine you go work a warehouse job. We've all worked jobs that we didn't really like a ton in our past. You go work that warehouse job and, there's a whole shift change and they clean out everybody, but you're one of the guys that remain. You automatically become a leader. You automatically become one of the of the more senior guys on the team, even though you haven't been there that long. And I think that's where Julian Lewis is, and I think that'll contribute to his development as a leader and what Coach Prime wanted from him last year. And I think this offense does nothing but help him with the amount of running they'll do and the mismatches that Marion creates in the go-go.
Great point about the shift change or the shift leader.
Yeah, totally.
That's a great point.
Dukes, to kind of go with that, I mean, the Buffs have to run the ball better this year, right? I mean, it's been something they haven't really done the last 3 seasons. I guess, what do you see in that room with the type of running backs that they've added to this team and just the impact that Brennan Marion has had, already just off the field, being around, just being involved with workouts and stuff too?
So first of all, that offense does a lot of unorthodox things. Let me see.
Oh, you're back.
No, you're good. That was us.
You good?
Yeah.
I would say I think the first and foremost, the go-go offense, and I know you guys have done some study on it, it creates unorthodox situations for the defense. You're going to see duo and combo blocks in places that you wouldn't expect them. You're going to see them. It's going to look like it's a man scheme, and it comes out and it's a gap scheme. You're going to see them stretch you out, pause 4 or 5 times, and then they hit you right up the gut. So, I mean, that's very pause-worthy statement.
Crazy word.
Crazy. But seriously, the mismatches that he creates in the run game, I think a lot of people don't talk about enough. Okay, cool. From that perspective, now you have a bunch of one-cut guys that I've seen. I've seen Richard Young from Alabama, a one-cut guy, and a lot of people are saying, well, he didn't do anything at Bama, but it's very similar to when Colton Hood was the guy in spring, and I was told anybody that would listen that Colton Hood was a baller. He was just stuck behind a ton of guys. That was Kayan Lee, Jay Crawford at the time, and Keontae Scott was who he was behind. And we saw what Keontae Scott did this year at Miami.
For sure.
So same thing with Richard Young. He literally won that. He started the game against Florida State last year because he won the job in fought. Exactly. The starter was hurt, but he beat everybody else out in a room full of 4 and 5 stars. Richard Young still knows how to run the football. Athletically, he's going to be that one-cut guy. I think he does a lot. I would say maybe a bit twitchier version of Michael Welch. I think Welch does things as well. Maybe he's more of a bruiser than Richard Young, but I think you got 2 guys that you don't want to see in a phone booth, and you got a yard to go. If they get ahead of steam, I like my chances for them to get a yard, right? You look at Damian Henderson from Sacramento State, another guy, a taller guy, right? Someone who if you don't have the leverage, he can lean forward. Like he's tall enough to actually lean forward and get that extra yard. So I think when you talk about short yardage situations, you're good. And then you think about the home run ability in that room. You think about a track hawk. He was just getting started last year, and then he has the unfortunate injury. But when you go back and you look at the things that Brennan Marion does and how you may see a formation where you see Trackhawk and Q for 6 in the backfield at the same time, and we say, okay, the mesh point is going to be Q for 6, and and the linebacker is going to have to he's going to have to stay true to the flats because you also got a Q for 6. So what do you do in that situation? Now you've got him in a one-on-one. So I think those unorthodox mismatches that he creates in the blocking scheme, but also in the mesh points, the route combinations behind the mesh points that you see, is like, bro, and Jay, I know you watched a ton of this. You get a mesh point with a bruising running back. On the backside, you got one of the fastest running backs in the league. You got Cam Perry on a slant, and then you're running levels with everybody else. Bro, it's like pick your poison, and that's the beauty of the offense. And I think by having that mesh point be kind of the trigger point, that's going to allow Colorado to play a lot faster and to make defenses question every step they make. And one false step in this offense is a touchdown. If you go back and you look at UNLV, you'll see it.
Most definitely. I just love the deferring the varying skill sets in that running back room. You even think of like Jaquel Smith, who, Brennan brought over from, Sac State, a true freshman last year, led the team in yards per carry. Like, he can go. Like, he has that second gear familiarity with the go-go offense as well. Yeah. I'm really excited about what this running game is going to look like, all the innovation, the different wrinkles that Marion's going to bring. You mentioned a couple of guys.
I want to say something about him too. This is a guy that I think that when he gets a full year in a Power 4 nutrition program, a full year with Coach Swayze, he was 5'10", 185 last year, and he didn't run like he was 5'10", 185. He ran like a 200-pounder. He was just fast as hell. Yeah. This is a guy who I'm glad you brought him up. I thought he had a really good game. I think I forgot, was it Weber State that he went off and had like a $175?
I think he had multiple touchdowns. Yep.
Yeah, he went crazy. So yeah, definitely fun film to watch for sure.
And no one talks about that when guys are coming up a level. The extra resources that are available to them, the nutrition, the strength and conditioning staff, the strength and conditioning facilities, all that stuff also helps those guys make that jump.
Man, recovery as well. Think like when you go, they weren't jumping in the multiple swimming pools to go recover. Like they're not doing, they're not getting over their calf strain with five. Never mind. I'll leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there.
Hey, Dukes, you mentioned a couple of guys that Colorado has added via the portal this offseason. Give me a name or two, a guy or two who you stamping that you would put your name on that. Like, yeah, He gonna be one of the ones that really helps this team win football games and make an impact this year.
Leonard LaFau,
yeah,
Texas linebacker. I had somebody, I did a video on him on my channel, and somebody came and they said, man, he only had 2 tackles against Georgia. And if you didn't watch his last game, now first of all, he's playing on an all-world defense. You had when they played Georgia, you got Barron, you got Colin Simmons, you got Anthony Hill, who's presumed to be the number 1 backer in the country.
Yeah.
So, and multiple 5-stars that he had to hold off year after year. And a lot of people didn't think he was going to win that job this year just because of what they brought in recruiting-wise, and he did. I think what he did in that Texas A&M game, and I would implore anyone who's questioning this linebacker to go watch what he did against Texas A&M in his last game in a Longhorn uniform. He went absolutely nuts. I believe he had 11 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, all over the field, and they love to run the ball, and they have bruising running backs, and he laid it all on the line. So I think he's one of the guys that I'm looking forward to as far as saying, can he set the edge and also be a blitzable linebacker? And I think he can do both. So if I had to stamp someone that's going to be an upgrade in the room, and it's going to be a very measurable upgrade. And no disrespect to anybody who played last year, I just think this guy is this talented. And I think even though you got ESPN I don't always just look at who you get, but I look at who you beat for him. When you look at who was in the market for linebackers, those are 2 of the biggest linebackers on the market, ESPN and Gideon Lamprine. I don't want to call him ESPN, but I just think he's so fun, right? Like call him ESPN, yeah. But now, actually, I'm gonna call him the PN. So, but serious, him and LaFau, man, I think they're going to be all conference type performers in this defense.
Definitely.
Last one I got for you, Dukes. Brennan Marion, a guy who comes in. We talked a lot about him offensively, but this is someone who is so dialed into recruiting, and you're also someone who's very dialed into recruiting. What's kind of the response been like in the recruiting trail to how Brennan Marion has been, moving at Colorado?
Man, he has a really, really good eye for talent. And I remember at UNLV, and what he does, the way he recruits, he endears himself with people in the pockets, so quote unquote. And what I call the people in the pockets are the trainers, the guys who, the assistant coaches, the volunteer coaches, the little league coaches. When he comes to Atlanta, it's like, oh, B. Marion in town. Oh, okay, is he pulling up on you? Oh, he's gonna pull you. I Coach Steph, who trained a lot of wide receivers. He's like Cam Perry's main trainer. He if you bring him on here, he's gonna talk about Coach Marion for an hour. Not just about what he does with the players, but what he does with the people around the players to make them feel comfortable about sending them to a Colorado. Or think about this, recruiting wise, B. Marion had he was over maybe, I don't know, maybe 15 Power 4 teams in the recruiting rankings at Sacramento State as an FCS team.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like, he was over Colorado to keep it a buck. Like,
for sure.
Marion don't play around when you look at the amount of offers that went out. And guys, even the visibility that he got when he became the head coach at Sacramento State by sending out a ton of offers and offering guys who are retweeting, getting 4 and 5 stars just to give you that free promotion to say, hey, I'm considering Sacramento State because of Coach Marion. I think that was huge. It's a little bit of the formula that Coach Prime used when he got to Jackson State by getting these 4 and 5 star guys to say, you know what, I'm at the time I'm covering recruiting for 247 Sports, and I'm like, bro, why is this dude going to Jackson State? He may not be going there, but now I got to pay attention to Jackson State. And I think it's the same thing with Marion. He did it at Sac State, and you'll see the same thing happen at Colorado. As far as now, I think right now he's, I believe he's going to operate as a CEO on offense. So he's getting a lot of things together, and I think they're really focused on trying to make sure that the people that are there are getting the attention that they need. But you're going to see the effort as it comes when we talk about what B. Marion evaluation-wise means to Colorado, but also from a relationship standpoint. And I don't think that you can understate what Josh Niblett can do as far as being a recruiter and being someone like literally 25 D1 players on the team at Gainesville last year. 25 guys with offers. So, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to bring the whole Gainesville team.
Right.
What I'm saying is he understands how to build a team. He has relationships. And if you understand how to speak the language, it goes a long way in the recruiting process.
Awesome, man. Great to have you back on, Dukes. We'll have to run it back here very, very soon, man. Thank you so much for joining us today, bro.
Oh, y'all ain't know this Death Row, man. Shoot, y'all just signed a lifetime contract, bro. It's over with. I'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
Locked
Hell
in.
yeah.
Appreciate you, Dukes. Love.
See you, Dukes.